Are you someone who likes mushrooms? What about colorful mushrooms? What about foraging for mushrooms or building mushroom towers? Well, do I have a cool, interesting, whimsical game for you. This is a game called Fairy Ring. Hi, my name's Danny. I'm an avid modern board gamer from Australia who loves sharing my passion for this hobby with you, my friends, and my family. And we're going to check out Fairy Ring and see what it's all about. Hey, Danny, what you making? Oh, I'm just making a Vegemite sandwich and some fairy bread. I love it. That's like an Aussie delicacy. Would you be interested in playing a card game? Oh, for sure. Very good indeed. And the moral of the story is to not to overuse those puns in our board game skits. So Fairy Ring is a card drafting game where you are basically building up mushroom buildings of different heights, up to a maximum of 4, and then also moving your fairy around the play area to try and trigger the effects of those buildings in your tableau, but also doing it in other people's tableaus. There are some really cool, simple fairy light tricks in this game that I think are just so elegant. The thing you're basically doing on your turn is you are picking a card and then you're passing the rest of the cards along in typical drafting style. First of all, you're going to reveal the card in turn order and place that mushroom in your mushroom village. Now, this is a really crucial decision because the order that you place the mushrooms is not only going to impact the sequence in which your fairy moves across your tableau, but it's going to impact the sequence of the other players' fairies as they come around the fairy ring circle and move across your village. And so it creates this interesting puzzle of predicting where you think different players might want to land their fairies on, but then changing the landscape of the order of everything so that they land on things that might advantage you, but disadvantage them. And so you're thinking, ooh, that other player there has a lot of yellow mushroom buildings. I'm gonna try and make it really hard for them to land on my yellow mushroom building, because when they land on my yellow mushroom building, and this is the other twist, they get to activate all of their yellow mushroom buildings. And so it creates this interesting triggering effect that affects everybody's tableaus in different ways. And so I love that. Where I place my mushroom, where I choose to expand is going to impact the power of what I get, but also the geography of my tableau is going to impact how much chance fairies are going to land on it. The other thing that you've got to do on your turn is move your fairy. So each card has a little value on it, and the card that you play, the value that's on it is the number of steps your fairy will have to move. And so if you're the first player in the round, it's going to be pretty easy to kind of predict where your fairy is going to end up because you get to resolve your actions first. But if you come later in the round, you're going to be thinking, oh, each player is going to play an extra card on their tableau. Will they place it to expand a tower they've already got or build a new one? And so you've got to kind of weigh up some of the risks and options of where your fairy might end up on your turn as players' tableaus progressively expand and increase in height. And so this level of unpredictability, whilst it sounds like, isn't this just random potluck? There's actually an infused sense of strategy to it. You can kind of gauge, ooh, okay, this player's going green mushrooms and purple mushrooms. Maybe I can play a card that's going to be really high so I can skip all their mushrooms and head to the third player's tableau, which has more mushrooms than I've got in my own garden. And so you've got all these really cool weighted decisions to think about how logistically you're going to move your fairies around, but then how much value you're going to be able to extract from that movement too. And this brings me to another very good twist, and that is how the scoring works. Each mushroom has a different way to score. There's like a water mushroom where every time a fairy passes over, a player gets some mana. There's ones where, like the green mushroom, you get mana equal to the number of fireflies in your entire tableau. You've got the pink mushrooms, which give you mana equal to the fairy's movement value. You've got the lookout mushroom, which is based on how high or tall your mushrooms are. And there's one that kind of triggers based on the number of mushrooms you have. And so this mana actually isn't your victory points. You've kind of got to collect this mana to a certain point. I think it's 20 mana altogether. And finally, that will convert into a single point. So I guess one of my criticisms about Fairy Ring is the fact that I would like to have seen a few more mushroom card types. There's only about 6 in the game, and I think it would have been nice to do what like Phil Walker has done with Busy Beaks and kind of introduce modularity in the game where you have 10 different mushroom types and you use 6 each game. And so I feel like over time, the mushroom types are going to feel a little bit samey and a little bit repetitive. So I feel like more variation in the mushrooms would have been a little bit more interesting, maybe giving some players a few little asymmetric bonus cards that they can trigger once per game would invite more variation. Some of the things I really like about Fairy Ring is its vivid table presence. It really teaches some of those really simple Euro concepts in such a quick, easy to teach way. I really love the fact that you're triggering other people's tableaus, which is something I haven't seen in a lot of other games, and the fact that it invites for some interesting planning decisions as well as interactivity between players makes this game really quite exciting for me. I think this is a very well polished game, and for the weight and the size of the game, I think it's definitely one that I'm going to keep around. I think at this point, my score for Fairy Ring is probably a 3 out of 4. Who knows, with time, will it go up or down? It does tap into that sense of growing a garden and collecting things, which I really, really like. If you haven't seen behind me, here's some of my plant shells. But yeah, it's just a fun experience. So what are your thoughts on Fairy Ring? Is this a game that you might like to add to your board game collection? I always love card-driven games that kind of give you that value that you're gaining something or adding value to something, and I think this game really does that well. Now, if you found this video super helpful and insightful, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you really want to help this channel grow, please head over to my Patreon page. Otherwise, check out some of the hundreds of other board game video content that I have on my main page. This is Danny signing out. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.